Vanakkam Dohadeva and everyone, welcome. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we'll try and share the screen here. First topic. Here we go, first topic. Character qualities, compassion, the 11th character quality from our character building workbook. And in our new pattern, we'll ask you to define it first. How would you define compassion? And the workbook says, compassion means being aware of and sympathetic toward others, their needs and troubles. It is cultivated when I feel deep empathy for others. Its opposite is uncaringness. Washing my clothes frequently. I don't think that one fits there. That was from cleanliness. Gurudeva, compassion is defined as conquering callous, cruel, and insensitive feelings toward all beings. A compassionate person would tell a plant verbally if he was going to pick from it, intuiting that the plant has feelings of its own. A compassionate person would seek to keep pests away rather than killing them. Compassion comes from the heart, comes spontaneously. It is a total flow of spiritual, material, intellectual giving coming unbidden to the receiver. And comparing the actions of one who is compassionate to one who is uncaring. First situation, listening to another's problem, you, compassion, are genuinely concerned and ponder ways to help. Uncaringness, make it clear that you are not interested in listening nor in helping. Second situation, visiting a home for the elderly, you, compassion, are aware of their loneliness and try to cheer them up. Uncaringness, don't perceive their loneliness and are unmoved. The bath in there. Third situation, after a major earthquake, you brainstorm ways to meet the victim's needs. Uncaring, blame the affected residents for living near a seismic fault. So, reflection, take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in compassion. Zoom.
Are you in the middle of it?
Zoom, but you can just go around. It's all right.
Okay.
Oh, assignment. These 2 weeks, seek out someone in need and find practical ways to reduce his or her suffering. So I have to fix those slides. They're not as good as I thought they were. Our second topic is answering your questions sent to satsang@hindu.org. So we have lots of questions, so this is our major area today. Our first question is, Patanjali instructs us to quiet the mind, to make the vrittis quiescent. The full term is chitta vritti, which translates as mental activity. But in Shumif, we work with awareness rather than the vrittis, drawing it into quieter areas of consciousness. We don't attempt to affect consciousness, but just move awareness to another area. Is this difference just a semantic translation issue? Does our management of awareness affect the vrittis? Is it even possible to modify chitta by directing awareness? So the answer is that in both Patanjali's system and the Shum meditation system, quieting the vrittis is done first before trying to control awareness. In the Patanjali system, it is called pranayama, and in the Shum system, it is called kalibasa. So the point is, the vrittis need to be quiet before we have the ability to move awareness. If the vrittis are active, there's lots of mental activity going on in our mind, we won't be able to move awareness. Moving awareness is a subtle ability. So the presence of lots of mental activity inhibits our being able to do that. So that's the idea of pranayama, pratyahara, before we try and meditate. We regulate the breathing and we withdraw the energy. And then that puts us into a state of consciousness where we're able to move awareness easily. Do the chakras generate the dimensions, or are they pre-existing? That one's very simple. The dimensions are pre-existing. They even pre-exist the existence of man. They're there before man exists. Oh, next one is our major question here. Can you elaborate on the gunas, what they are and how do they affect us, how they came about, etc.? University of Madras Tamil Lexicon provides us with a general definition of the term. So the Sanskrit term guna is the Tamil term gunam. Tamil adds an M, but you can see guna there on the second line, meaning that's the original word. So this is general meaning of the word guna: attribute, property, quality. 2, character. 3, a fundamental quality. So it's very broad in its possible uses, just qualities of something, the attributes of something. But in the metaphysical context, our Himalayan Academy lexicon gives the definition. The gunas are 3 fundamental cosmic qualities of primary matter or nature. In other words, they are not an object. Matter is the object, and they are 3 ways of describing matter. So I drew a parallel here. Comparison would be to the scientific description of matter as having 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas. So solid, liquid, and gas aren't matter. They're a description of matter, just as the 3 gunas are a description of matter. Primary matter or nature has the Sanskrit terms of prakriti, pradana, and maya, depending on the philosophy. So any of those 3 terms, depending on the philosophy, could be used to describe matter, and then we could say prakriti, pradana, or maya have 3 gunas. Gurudeva gives a detailed description of the gunas in his writings on diet. Each day that we live, we are striving for the middle path, the balanced life, the existence which finds its strength beyond joy and sorrow, beyond pleasure and pain, beyond light and darkness. But in order to arrive at this state of contemplative awareness, we must begin at the beginning. And this week our study is diet, physical, mental, and emotional foods. So 3 kinds of diet. Physical, which is the normal meaning of food, mental and emotional. striving for a balanced diet of each. According to the ancient science of Ayurveda, nature is a primordial force of life composed in three modes, qualities, or principles of manifestation called gunas, meaning strands or qualities. The three gunas are, so this is a really short definition. We'll look at a longer one next. Sattva, beingness. Rajas, dynamism. And tamas, darkness. Sattva is tranquil energy. Rajas is active energy. And tamas is energy that is inert. Nature of sattva is quiescent, rarefied, translucent, pervasive. The nature of rajas is movement, action, emotion. Nature of tamas is inertia, denseness, contraction, resistance, and dissolution. The tamasic tendency is descending, odic, and instinctive. The rajasic tendency is expanding, actinotic, intellectual. The sattvic tendency is ascending, actinic, superconscious. The three gunas are not separate entities, but varied dimensions or frequencies of the single essential life force. People who are unfolding on the yoga path manifest the sattvic nature. Their path is one of peace and serenity. The rajasic nature is restless and manifests itself in physical and intellectual activities. It is predominant in the spirit of nationalism, sports and business competition, law enforcement and armed forces, and other forms of aggressive activity. The tamasic nature is dull, fearful, and heavy. It is the instinctive mind in its negative state and leads to laziness, habitual living, physical and mental inertia. As it is by cultivating the rajasic nature that tamas is overcome, so it is by evolving into the pure sattvic nature that the continual ramification of rajas is transcended. It is important to maintain a balance of our several natures, but to attain toward the expression of the rajasic and sattvic natures in as great a degree as possible. So we're not trying to just be sattvic. We want rajasic there too, because we still have obligations in the world to handle, obligations with families. We just can't sit and meditate all day in our sattvic bliss. You know, we have to feel energetic to go out and do things as well. Here's an internal concentration exercise. Allow the activity of your brain to relax. Let the muscles of your body relax. Let your eyes relax and easily shut. Visualize in your mind's eye a menu with 3 panels. On the left panel of the menu are all the prepared and cooked foods of the tamasic nature, which are instinctive, heavy, and often indigestible. These are the foods which would satisfy the purely instinctive man. In the middle panel are the rajasic foods such as spices, garlic, and onions, which provide physical energy and stimulation. On the right panel of the menu are the sattvic foods such as fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts, which calm, balance, and prepare the body to hold the actinic vibration of a higher consciousness. Let's examine the 3 parts of this menu and see where our consciousness is guided from within. So some Hindu traditions avoid rajasic foods, generally Vaishnava, so they won't eat garlic and onions, for example, which is okay. But Gurudeva didn't embrace that. We eat rajasic foods, but in moderation. You know, you don't want too much rajasic food. It will overstimulate you. But he felt rajasic and sattvic Both should be present qualities and tamasic minimized. Okay, we have another menu, emotional diet. On the left panel are the instinctive sensual pleasures of the moment and the more raucous forms of entertainment. On the middle panel are the routine emotional experiences of everyday life with family, friends, and work associates. On the right panel are high cultural and artistic expressions. Fill in your own list of specifics and see where your consciousness leads you. And the last one, mental foods. On the left side of this menu are books, magazines, newspapers, or websites that lead us into our tamasic instinctive nature, be they novels, stories, articles, or Hollywood exposés. Middle panel are those intellectual studies, items of current interest, and news which stimulate our rajasic mind and therefore require the close use of discrimination. At certain times, some of these the required understanding and intellectual clarity to elucidate important areas of your conscious mind existence. Meaning there's a tendency to take in too much intellectual knowledge and therefore not really digest. Okay, and on the right side, this menu are the sattvic writings and studies, scriptures of East and West, the great philosophical ideas of Socrates or Emerson, the dissertations of Plotinus or Kant, sayings of Lao Tzu and Confucius, Tiruvalluvar, Upanishads, Adi Shankar, Ramakrishna, or Gibran. Compose your own list and then balance out your mental diet by studying this menu from your inner consciousness. So that is the gunas. Next question. Satguru, having explained worship in the temple as Dvaita, dual, how does worship of and meditation on the Shiva Lingam relate as Parashiva, the ultimate unitive Advaita state? So yes, the Shiva Lingam does represent Parashiva. However, that is not acknowledged in puja. In other words, reflecting or meditating on the Shiva Lingam as Parashiva is done at a time other than the puja. The puja is totally theistic, invoking the personal form of God Shiva. Then we get the idea, where this idea comes from is in Dancing with Shiva. Shiva Linga is the ancient mark or symbol of God. This elliptical stone is a formless form betokening Parashiva, that which can never be described or portrayed. The pita, pedestal, represents Shiva's manifest Parashakti, Om. So that is a valid meditation, reflection, but we don't want to do it during the puja. Puja is theistic. This is Advaita, monistic. So a little more on the puja. Is this a material on the holy murti? It's something I developed for general Hindu groups, so it's both Saiva and Vaishnava. But it's Agamic Vaishnava. It's not North Indian Vaishnava. As we quoted from the Sri Venkateshwara website at the beginning, Hindu devotees believe that divine power has manifested itself in the murti. Worshipping the Archa Avatara, that's the murti, as Hari gives the devotees access to God and his power. So this Venkateshwara, for anyone who doesn't know, is a popular deity in Andhra Pradesh among Telugu people, and is the most common South Indian temple in the U.S. is a Venkateshwara temple, and the priests are of the Pancharatra Agama tradition, which is very similar to the Shiva Agama tradition. So that's why this is being brought up, to show that both Agamic traditions, Saiva Agamic and Vaishnava Agamic, look at the murti in the same way. So the divine power has manifested itself in the Murti. This idea is found in the Pancharatra text, Satvata Samhita, chapter 6, verse 22. When the perfectly designed image is systematically installed, he occupies the concerned image. By his gracious presence in that image, he gives concrete and visible expressions to all of his transcendental and imperceptible qualities. So the deity is in the image during the puja. That's what it's saying. So Swami Harshananda, Ramakrishna Mission, Bengaluru, he wrote the Encyclopedia of Hinduism. It's a 3-volume encyclopedia. It's very knowledgeable in this tradition. Archa is the form of the deity represented by an icon that is transmuted into the very form of the deity, full of the 6 divine attributes through the power of the mantras used in the installation, as well as subsequent worship. Beautifully said. Therefore, the proper installation of the Archa Murti with the prescribed Agama procedures is very essential for the power of the Archa Murti. Even the man-made images, though prepared out of inanimate substances, can become alive if they are duly consecrated through the prescribed rites. So that's the Murugan Temple in Maryland, Kumbhabhishekam, when Gurudev was helping install the Shiva Lingam there. Also required is the proper subsequent maintenance of the sanctity through pujas, utsavas, and other regular and proper worship. Right. God, who is omnipotent, descends into such images with a subtle body. This is the Archavatara. The 2 words combined there, Archa and Avatara. So the Avatara of the Murti. This is the Archavatara, or incarnation for purposes of ordinary worship. Gurudev also taught this principle. We worship God Shiva and the gods who by their infinite powers spiritually hover over and indwell the image, or Murti, which we revere as their temporary body. We commune with them through the ritual act of puja. Verse from Sarvait Agama Ajita, very wonderful statement here. Shiva Lingam Puja is for the purpose of invoking the presence of Sadashiva in the Lingam. Sadashiva is another word for Shiva as a person. And in this illustration, a devotee looks within and beyond the Shiva Lingam Murti to behold God, Lord Nataraja here, in his spiritual body of light. Man is performing his daily puja, chanting Sanskrit mantras, offering fruit, water, flowers, incense, and light, worshipping devoutly, beseeching God to send blessings through the enshrined image. And we have the telephone one. We know Gurudeva liked that one. We may liken this mystery to our ability to communicate with others through the telephone. We do not talk to the telephone. Rather, we use the telephone as a means of communication with another person, perhaps thousands of miles away. Without the telephone, we could not converse across such distances. And without the sanctified Murti in the temple or shrine, we cannot easily commune with the deity. Both are instruments of communication. So we need a sanctified Murti. The stone or metal deity images enshrined in the temple are not mere symbols of God and the gods. They are not mere inert idols, but the forms through which divine love, power, and blessings flood forth from the inner world of the gods into this physical world. As we progress in our worship, we begin to adore the image as the deity's physical body, for we know that he is actually present and conscious in it during puja, aware of our thoughts and feelings, and even sensing the pujari's gentle touch on the metal or stone. Oh, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Oh.